श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ षष्ठोऽध्यायः ध्यान योगः। श्री भगवानुवाच अनाश्रितः कर्मफलं कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः। यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुर्योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव। न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पो योगी भवति कश्चन। आरुरुक्षोर्मुनिर्योगं कर्म कारणमुच्यते। योगारूढस्य तस्यैव शमः कारणमुच्यते। यदा हीनेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्म स्वनुषज्जते सर्वसंकल्पसन्न्यासी योगारूढस्तदोच्यते। उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानं वसादयेत्। आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः। बन्धुरात्मात्मनस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः। अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्। जितात्मनः प्रशान्तस्य परमात्मा समाहितः। शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः ज्ञानविज्ञानतृप्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रियः। युक्त इत्युच्यते योगी समलोष्टाश्मकाञ्चनः। सुहृन्मित्रार्युदासीन मध्यस्थद्वेषबन्धुषु। साधुष्वपि च पापेषु समबुद्धिर्विशिष्यते। योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः। एकाकी यतचित्तात्मा निराशीरपरिग्रहः। शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरम् आसन्नात्मनः। नात्युच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं चैलाजिन्कुशोत्तरम्। तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः। उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्यात् योगम् आत्मविशुद्धये। समं कायशिरोग्रीवं धारयन्नचलं स्थिरः। सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्चान्वलोकयन्। प्रशान्तात्मा विगद्भिर्ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः। मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत् मत्परः। युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसः। शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमां मत्संस्थाम् अधिगच्छति। नात्यश्नतस्तु योगोऽस्ति न चैकान्तमनश्नतः। न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन। युक्ताहारविहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः। यदा विनियतं चित्तम् आत्मन्येवावतिष्ठते। निःस्पृहः सर्वकामेभ्यो युक्त इत्युच्यते तदा। यथा दीपो निवातस्थो नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता। योगिनो यत् चित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः यत्रो परमते चित्तं निरुद्धं योगसेवया यत्र चैवात्मनात्मानं पश्यन्यात्मनि तुष्यति सुखमात्यन्तिकं यत्तद् बुद्धिग्राहमतीन्द्रियं वेति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः यं लब्ध्वा चापरं लाभं मन्यते नाधिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद्याद् दुःखसंयोग वियोगं योगसंज्ञितं स निश्चयेन योक्तव्यो योगो निर्विण्णचेतसा संकल्पप्रभवान् कामान् त्यक्त्वा सर्वान् शेषतः मनसैवेन्द्रियग्रामं विनियम्य समन्ततः शनैः शनैरूपमेद बुद्धया धृतिगृहीतया आत्मसंस्थं मनः कृत्वा न किञ्चिदपि चिन्तयेत् यतो यतो निश्चरति मनश्चञ्चलम् अस्थिरं ततस्ततो नियम्तेत् आत्मन्येव वशं नयेत् प्रशान्त मनसं ह्येनं योगिनं सुखमुत्तमम् उपैति शान्तरजसं ब्रह्मभूतं कल्मषं युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी विगतकल्मषः सुखेन ब्रह्मसंस्पर्शम् अत्यन्तं सुखम् अश्नुते सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः यो मां पश्यति सर्वत्र सर्वं च मयि पश्यति तस्याहं न प्रणश्यामि स च मे न प्रणश्यति सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजत्येकत्वमास्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते आत्मौपम्येन सर्वत्र समं पश्यति योऽर्जुन सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं स योगी परमो मतः अर्जुन उवाच योऽयं योगस्त्वया प्रोक्तः साम्येन मधुसूदन एतस्याहं न पश्यामि चञ्चलत्वात् स्थितिं स्थिराम् चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलवदृढं तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायुरिव सुदुष्करम् श्री भगवानुवाच असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते असंयतात्मना योगो दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वशे आत्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः अर्जुन उवाच अयति श्रद्धयोपेतो योगाचलितमानसः अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं कामगतिं कृष्ण गच्छति कच्चिन्नो भयविभ्रष्ट छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो भ्रमणः पथि एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण छेतुमर्हस्य शेषतः त्वदन्यसंशयस्यास्य छेता नाह्युपपद्यते। श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवैह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति। प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समाः शुचीनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टोऽभिजायते अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यदीदृशम् तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पौर्वदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन। पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते ह्यवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते। प्रयत्नाद्यत्मानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेकजन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिम्। तपस्वी भयोधिको योगी ज्ञानी भयोऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मीभ्यश्च चाधिको योगी तस्माद्योगी भवार्जुन। योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः। ॐ तत्सद् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्ण अर्जुन संवादे ध्यान योगो नाम षष्ठोऽध्यायः। हरिः ओम्। श्रीकृष्ण अर्पणमस्तु।
Radhe Radhe. This is the The Supreme Lord says, those who perform prescribed without desiring the results of the action are actual sanyas and yogis, not those who have merely ceased performing sacrifices such as yagya or abandoned bhakti. What is known as sanyas or non-demanding yoga, for none become yogis without renouncing worldly desires. To the soul who is aspiring for perfection in yoga, work without attachment is said to be the mean. To the sage who is already elevated to tranquility in meditation is said to be the means. When one is neither attached to sense objects nor to actions, that person is said to be elevated in the science of yoga, for having renounced all desires for the fruit of actions. Elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself, for the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. For those who have conquered the mind, it is their friend. For those who have failed to do so, the mind looks like an enemy. The yogis who have conquered the mind rise above the dualities of cold and heat, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor. Such yogis remain peaceful and steadfast in their devotion to God. The yogi who are satisfied by knowledge and discrimination and have conquered their senses remain undisturbed. Those and pious and sinners with an impartial intellect. The yogi who is of equal intellect toward friend, companion, neutral among enemies and relatives, and impartial between the righteous and sinful, is considered to be distinguished among human. Those who seek the state of yoga should reside in seclusion, constantly engaged in meditation with a controlled mind and body, getting rid of desires and possessions for enjoyment. To practice yoga, one should make an asana in a sanctified place by placing bush grass, deerskin, and cloth one over the other. The asana should be neither too high nor too low. Seated firmly on it, the yogi should strive to purify the mind by focusing it in the meditation with one pointed concentration, controlling all thoughts and activities. He must hold the body, neck, and head firmly in a straight line and gaze at the tip of the nose without allowing the eyes to wander. Thus, with a serene, fearless, and unwavering mind, and staunch in the vow of celibacy, the vigilant yogi should meditate on me, having me alone as the supreme goal. Thus, constantly keeping the mind absorbed in me, the yogi of disciplined mind attains nirvana and abides in me in supreme peace. O Arjun, those who eat too much or eat too little, sleep too much or too little, cannot attain success in yoga. But those who are temperate in eating and recreation, balanced in work, and regulated in sleep, can mitigate all sorrows by practicing yoga. With thorough discipline, they learn to draw the mind from selfish cravings and rivet it on the unsurpassable good of the self. Such persons are said to be and are free from all yearnings of the senses. Just as a lamp in a windless place does not flicker, so the disciplined mind of a yogi remains steady in meditation on the self. When the mind restrained from material activities becomes still by the practice of yoga, then the yogi is able to behold the soul, purified mind, and he rejoices in the inner joy. That joyous state of yoga, called samadhi, one experiences supreme boundless divine bliss, and thus situated, one never deviates from the eternal. Having gained that state, one does not consider any attainment to be greater. Being thus established, one is not shaken even in the midst of greatest calamity. That state of severance from the union with misery is known as yoga. This yoga should be resolutely practiced with determination, free from pessimism. Completely renouncing all desires arising from thoughts, one should restrain the senses from all sides with mind. Slowly and steadily, with conviction and the mind will become fixed in God alone and will think of nothing else. Great transcendental happiness comes to the yogi whose mind is calm, whose passions are subdued, who is without sin, and who sees everything in connection with God. The self-controlled yogi, thus uniting the self with God, becomes free from material contamination and being constant touch with the Supreme achieves the highest state of perfect happiness. The true yogis, uniting their consciousness with God, with equal eye, all living beings in God, and God, living beings. For those who see me everywhere and see all things in me, I am never lost, nor are they ever lost to me. The yogi who is established in union with me and worships me as a supreme soul residing in all beings dwells only in me, though engaged in all kinds of activities. I regard them to be perfect yogis who see the true equality of all living beings and respond to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were their own. Arjun said, "The system of yoga you have described, O Mahasudan, appears impractical and unattainable to me due to the restless mind. The mind is very restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate, O Krishna. It appears to me that it is more difficult to control than the wind." Lord Krishna said, "O mighty armed son of Kunti, what you say is correct. The mind is indeed very difficult to restrain, but by practice and detachment, it can be controlled. Yoga is difficult to attain for one whose mind is bridled. However, those who have learned to control the mind and who strive earnestly by the proper means can attain perfection in yoga. This is my opinion." Arjun said, "What is the fate of the unsuccessful yogi who begins the path of faith, but who does not endeavor sufficiently due to unsteady mind and is unable to reach the goal of yoga in life? Does not such a person who deviates from yoga get deprived of both material and spiritual success, Almighty armed Krishna, and perish like a broken cloud with no position in either sphere? O Krishna, please dispel this doubt of mine completely, for who other than you can do so?" The Supreme Lord said, "O Parth, one who engages on the spiritual path does not meet with destruction, either in this world or the world to come. My dear friend, one who strives for God realization is never overcome by evil." The unsuccessful yogis, upon death, go to the abodes of the virtuous. After dwelling there for many ages, they are again reborn in the earth plane into a family of pious and prosperous people. Else, if they had developed this fashion due to long practice of yoga, they are born into a family endowed with divine wisdom. Such a birth is very difficult to attain in this world. On taking such a birth, descendant of gurus, they reawaken the wisdom of their previous lives and strive even harder toward perfection in yoga. Indeed, they feel drawn toward God, even against their will, on the strength of their past discipline. Such seekers naturally rise above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. With the accumulated merits of many past births, when these yogis engage in sincere endeavor in making further progress, they become purified from material desires and attain perfection in this life itself. A yogi is superior to the tapasvi, superior to the jnani, and even superior to the karmi. Therefore, O Arjun, strive to be a yogi. Of all yogis, those whose minds are always absorbed in me and who engage in devotion to me with great faith, them I consider to be the highest of all.
Radhe Radhe and we are tremendously grateful to all the yajmans of this program And if you feel inspired to do any seva, please visit radhakrishnatemple.net. Please refresh your screens so you can continue your participation into the next session. Radhe Radhe.